What's that?
Now I'm going to show you how the East Coast rocks a couple of things. The Boston Celtics have 2 all-star reserves, and they're under 500. That has never happened in the history of the NBA. Brad Stevens is going to be on the hot seat. The second thing I want to say about the reserves is Google when Julius Randle got traded to the Knicks. There was one multimedia personality that said when he got to the East, he was going to be an all-star. That was me. I actually thought it was going to happen last year, but it's happening this year. And as happy as I am to be right, and as happy as I am that the Knicks are playing better basketball, Domantas Sabonis should have Julius Randle's spot. You know it, and I know it. And I'm going to tell you how this works. Tom Thibodeau is a coaching veteran around the league, and he has relationships with other coaches who vote. More relationships than the Pacers coach. That's the only reason why Randle is in over Sabonis. Period, point blank. Yes, one plays in New York and one plays in Indiana, and you could go to the large market thing and all of that. But the coaches actually vote. The same coaches decided that they were going to put in Julius Randle and reward him in the Knicks, but not Sabonis, who's basically getting the same numbers on a better team without Karis LeVert. Okay? And so I'm a little disappointed that the coaches went this route, in particular for a squad that traded Victor Oladipo. It doesn't matter what happens with Indiana. Sabonis has been consistent the entire season.
Well, don't feel too bad for Sabonis, Pacers fans, because I feel like this year we might have some replacement players, and I think that he would be at the top of the list. And that is a similar situation with what's going on in the Western Conference. When you look at the Western Conference reserves, there is a name not listed that was pretty shocking to you and I, and who is that, Mr. Rose?
Devin Booker should be on for Chris Paul. CP did a great job of resurrecting his name the last couple of years. And I'm going to show you guys how being a public figure works. If Carmelo Anthony doesn't get picked up by the Portland Trailblazers, his reputation is a lot different than it is right now. You remember when Chris Paul was a member of Lob City? They had championship expectations. They didn't meet him. The media and the public slandered his name. You remember Chris Paul's next stop? Houston. They had championship expectations. They didn't get done. The media slandered his name. He reinvented himself in OKC, not only with terrific leadership and play, but with lower expectations. And so those expectations and Phoenix going well in the bubble allows the Suns to say, now let's go for it. Because we have Devin Booker, our go-to guy, our actual all-star, allows us to bring in Chris Paul and bring in Crowder to go with the other players that we've drafted in order to possibly do something special. And for those that haven't been paying attention, if the Phoenix Suns were in the Eastern Conference, they'd be the number 1 seed. Devin Booker should be voted on the All-Star team. I'm disappointed in the coaches.
Absolutely. And I also feel like Sabonis, Booker will eventually play in Atlanta, perhaps some others as well. But just minutes from now, on The Jump, they will be announcing the rest of the NBA schedule. And Jalen, do you think they should extend the All-Star break beyond the traditional All-Star break to accommodate this odd season?
Yes, they should, because the top players are the ones that it taxes the most. Not the squads that weren't invited to the bubble, not the squads that aren't in the playoff hunt already this year. The top all-stars are the ones that actually need and deserve the break. If they play a basketball game, have a skills challenge, a dunk contest, and all those festivities on a Sunday, they should at least get 7 full days off after that. Don't be surprised. And J&J, it's going to be breaking news for you fans. When you look at the bottom of the ticker and you realize that the players are trying to get that window from the 5th to the 10th extended from the 5th to the 14th. Stay tuned.
We will stay tuned because on The Jump, they will reveal the rest of the schedule. But Jalen, there were some games last night, and there was one game in particular that had me on the edge of my seat, and it was Luka Doncic hitting not just the game winner, but also before the game winner hit this huge step back three, and then from the exact same spot as he shot down the Clippers, he had two Celtics defenders on him and hit the game winner. Jalen, Luka's Mavs have been a little bit below expectations, but what have you seen from him last night and this season that's been encouraging?
You know how when great players, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, when I watched them play, initially as young players, and then all of a sudden they start to figure it out. And we use the term the game slows down to them. That's how Luka plays the entire time. Like the game is slowed down to him. And he has the height and the bulk to finish in the paint and not rush, because he's not going to finish above the hoop. He's just not that kind of an athlete. And so he's playing in all phases, Jacoby. He's playing at the 3 line. He's playing at the top of the key. He's playing in the free throw line area. He's playing in the box area. And you know what else? That gentleman is fearless. And when you really look at the Mavs roster, when you really look, I was watching this game. The Celtics have a better roster than the Mavs. As a matter of fact, most of the teams that the Mavs play have a better roster than the Mavs. So for Luka to play the way he's been playing and to be starting in the All-Star game, it is truly outstanding how he's grown as a player.
It really is. And he also seems to love those clutch moments like the person he's been compared to over the past week, Dame Lillard. Now, Jalen, the final score will not represent exactly how close this game was between the Kings and the Nets. And James Harden, again, a triple-double, seems to be playing some of the best basketball of his career. What has been so good about this fit with Harden?
Quiet as it's kept. James Harden and Luka play really similar in a lot of ways. James is a volume three-point shooter as a member of the Rockets. But once he came to the Nets, they're literally charged with almost doing the same thing for their teams, except Luka is charged to score more. And I appreciate the fact that James still gets other players involved. And we talked on this show about Brown, and he's a former Detroit Piston. And you know I watched him close, and I told you that he plays deep. But he also hustles. He cuts. He does all of the dirty work things that you don't expect your star players to do. You know Joe Harris is going to spot up and shoot threes, but you still need somebody else that's going to mix it up. And at his height, that's actually what he's given them, and it's been refreshing, in particular without KD and Jeff Green.
What you're seeing right there is Bruce Brown realizing he had 29 points. And I think he's mad because I was watching this game and Kyrie Irving was setting him up for three, set him up for another three, and he had a wide open, naked baseline three to take him over 30 that he missed. But Bruce Brown, he's like my height. He's like 6'3", 6'4". They use him as a roll man in the pick and roll. Like, you would think that'd be DeAndre Jordan, that would be some other players, but they use him as a roll man, and it's working for them. And he gets so many layups because when you have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and soon to be Kevin Durant, that just opens up the three-pointers for Harris. They draw so much defense that someone like Brown, who was on your Pistons, can really thrive and put up numbers like 29 points in the game. And he does so much that doesn't show up in the box score, much like a Draymond Green.